mean, here's something from I get your blog, your daily blog, I get it as an email. And, here, for example, is I think something that just epitomizes the different way you're inviting people to come at this word in terms of life and work. So it's something you wrote, 4 questions worth answering. Okay. So, I mean, I have started to really ponder these in terms of my own little enterprise, my own little public radio show. 4 questions worth answering. Who is your next customer? You mean that conceptually, their outlook, hopes, dreams, needs, and wants. What is the story he told about himself before he met you? How do you encounter him in a way that he trusts the story you want to tell him about what you have to offer? What changes are you trying to make in him, his life, his story? And then you wrote, start with this before you spend time on tactics, technology, scalability. I think that's really refreshing.
There used to be parking meters in New York City that took quarters. And what that meant was that quarters were worth more than 25 cents. And one day I was parking on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and a guy comes up to me who, from all physical appearances, was, use your word, hobo, bum, homeless, needed help. But generally, even on the streets of New York, it's very difficult to make a living by panhandling because most people tell themselves the story that they're not going to interact with a stranger, they're not going to give that stranger money, and it's not a useful way to help someone. Well, this gentleman came up to me and he said, excuse me, do you have $1 for 4 quarters? Which is precisely the opposite of the question that people always ask you.
Right.
And I was taken aback because actually I needed 4 quarters and was happy to pay $2 for 4 quarters in that moment. So I did the transaction with him. And then he said, excuse me, do you have a quarter? And the brilliance of the question, of course, is, yeah, he knew I had a quarter. He had just given it to me. And that we had a transaction that had helped me. So now it was obvious I was going to give him a quarter. In fact, I gave him 3 because I wanted to reciprocate. And what's magical about this story is that he understood that the worldview, the story of the typical person on the street of New York is not, I wish I could find someone I could give $1 to. Right? And so people who are making change and the people you've interviewed through the years, that's what they have in common. That they don't stand up and say, here is a recitation of things that are true, therefore you must agree with me. Mm. What they have figured out how to do is understand the mindset of the person before they even met them, and then put a story into the world that resonates enough to start changing that mindset.